Tuning you in now to the LBX Show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX Show. This is this Halloween edition. I've got my Wolfman shirt on from Epic Universe, Universal's Epic Universe, and I know it's running on November 2nd, but I'm recording this on Halloween, so I've got to feel in the spirit, in the season. So there we go. All right. So we've got a really compact show lined up for you today. First, we're going to dive into some news you should know. And then we'll roll right into a robust open and shut with Kevin Williams to review all the latest openings and closings and trends for the last week. And then we'll wrap up. That's it. We don't have we don't have anybody else. We don't have Adam Pratt from Arcade Corner or Chuck DeMonte with promo pro tips or Clint Novak with anything, guest gab or a road trip or any of that good stuff. But next week we're going to have a great guest gab, and then the following week we're going to have another good guest gab. And then we're going to take a break for IAAPA week, and then we'll be back with a really robust IAAPA overview. Adam Pratt and Kevin Williams are going to join me. We'll have a big, long guest gab discussion about IAAPA Expo coming up. So with that, and without further ado, let's dive into some news you should know. All right, look, it's IAAPA Expo, and it's coming up in just a few weeks. I'm super excited to see so many people and just have a blast for a week, just doing nothing but entertainment and attraction stuff, talking about it, seeing people in it, going to places, having parties, checking out new attractions, all the cool stuff and fun stuff that goes on at IAAPA Expo. So that being said, we do have, and I talked about this last week and the week before, we've got our speakeasy at the LBX Collective booth is booth number 4402. And we're going to return with unlimited Negronis and old fashions and our very own super popular Galaxy cocktail. And we'll be hiding out in the backdrop of our LBX Collective booth because we aren't supposed to serve our own alcohol on the show floor. So it's got to be a speakeasy. Shh, don't tell anyone. Not that this podcast is going out to a bunch of people and they're all going to know about it, but that's all right. I want to see you at 4:30 every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the IAAPA Expo on the show floor. Our booth is 4402. Super excited about it. Absolutely enjoy having a great time there. Then the other thing is Give Kids the World. This is a great program and facility and nonprofit that does is amazing work for children battling critical illnesses. They provide cost-free vacations to them. And so this is just an amazing thing. And so they've got a golf tournament. You can scan this QR code if you want to join the golf tournament. Or if you want to walk a 1K or run a 5K with me on Thursday morning, it's called Footprints from the Heart. It actually runs through the Give Kids the World Village. It's super awesome. You can scan that QR code and you can join the LBX Collective team. And so would love to have you guys all join me with that. So go ahead and scan the QR code. You don't have to run. You don't have to walk even if you just want to donate money. And, it goes to the LBX Collective team that ultimately all flows right to Give Kids the World Village. So that is what we got there. All right, the next thing up on news you should know is one of our good friends, Adam Pratt. He does the Arcade Corner from Arcade Heroes every single week, and he's just announced a brand new program and thing on his site called the Arcade Heroes Arcade Hall of Fame. And so, he's been thinking through this for a little while, and he's talked to a few different people about finally doing this. But this week he did launch the Arcade Hall of Fame. And, he just was like, hey, would love to have this at some point in a physical location, potentially his own arcade. But, look, he's starting with a virtual version, and they'll be represented, all these different things will be represented through slideshows. So, you can see an example here. This is one where they're focusing first on creators and then also the games themselves. So that's what he's starting on first. And so this is an example of Dave Nutting, who is, one of the, his work for Nutting Associates, Midway, but then, created really iconic games like Wizard of War. And so this is just one of those, one of the slides. He's going to be breaking things down into the 1970s, 80s, 90s, in different categories as well. Like here's an example of Space Wars that came out in 1976 from Vector Beam and Cinematronics. And so this is, on his site. And, to take a quick look at what his site looks like here, we'll pull this up. And, this is his Arcade Hall of Fame. And you can see here, there's a sliders that goes through, a bunch of the different people for the game creators and then arcade games as well. So what he's trying to do is focus on not just the games he likes, but, the ones that are specifically were either firsts or helped to build trends or that kind of stuff. So that is what he has launched. And so very excited for him. You can check this out at arcadeheroes.com and then just click on the link to Arcade Hall of Fame. So that is Adam's latest thing added to his site. And so the next thing up we've got here on News You Should Know is the, so what do we got? We got Scorbit. So Scorbit is this a new connected gaming platform. This is actually, they've been out for a little while. They just launched their 2.0 version, which includes a mobile app. So you can actually download the Scorbit app. And basically what it does is it turns vintage and modern arcade games like pinball or skee ball or basketball into social competitive experiences. So it will track the scores that are gained there. You can get ranked on leaderboards that are online. And then you can actually do searches through the app to find your favorite game and which arcade nearby has your favorite game. Obviously, they have to be connected to the Scorbit platform in order to make that happen. But the new system includes digital payments. Again, it has the competitions, actually. You can run jackpots. If you're an arcade operator, or you have a game floor, you can run, build jackpots and competitions. There's a whole management platform as well. Initially, this is focused just on pinball. They have a little hardware package that you can install into your pinball machine. But look, they say that whether they're 50 years old or they're brand new, you can actually put them all online if you're connecting this Scorbit platform piece of technology to your pinball machine. And they say that they're trying to lay the groundwork to build what they call the premier connected pinball experience for quote unquote pinball players all around the world. And there's already, you can see here, there's some initial Scorbit locations that have begun to roll out in arcades and bars and venues across the US. You see them in California, Minnesota, New York, Tennessee, and New Hampshire so far. So they are expanding, and they really want to take eventually beyond pinball. They say any game that's fun to play in person should have the power to connect players, host competitions, and track performance and share excitement online. So that's where Scorbit's going. Pretty cool new system that they've just launched, and wish them well, and something that you can consider putting into your place to add just that extra gamification layer on top of your existing pinball machines. All right, so next thing we've got is DSM Arcade, and they've partnered with U.S. beer brand Pabst Brewing, right? So perfect. This is a brilliant play. I think that PBR has been around. All the hipsters love it, although it's kind of beginning to lose steam here with the Gen Zs. But whatever. The millennial hipsters loved PBR. It was the thing to do, and so they've come out with Pabst Brewing's version of Perfect Pour. And so this is actually, you'll be able to check this out at IAAPA Expo this year, and it'll be at the AVS company's booth. And basically, look, if you've done Perfect Pour has been around since 2022, and so it's the same mechanics. It's like literally just pouring Pabst beer instead of other things. It's just branded Pabst, and so they're just taking that proven formula. But I think what I really like is the cabinet design, right? It's super retro. I think it would go really well in any bar. You can put it in your arcade. It depends on the vibe of your arcade or whatever. The regular Perfect Pour might be a better fit, but depending on your bar, depending on your venue, this could be a really interesting fit for it, just depending, based on this. And obviously this is, very similar to what Allen One has created with their Dr. Pepper Soda Slam. So this is full disclosure. Allen One is a sponsor of LBX Collective. But this is, they've recently come up with a branded version of their Soda Slam. So there was Perfect Pour, then they developed, then there was Icy. The Icy came out with their Slush Rush, and then now there's Soda Slam by Allen One. And then they recently did a deal with Dr. Pepper, similar to what DSM Arcade has done with Pabst Brewing, to make a Dr. Pepper version and branded a version of the Soda Slam. So that is, that's what's going on. These games are really fun. They're redemption driven, obviously, and you can create little boss battles, mini games, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what we got there. And you know what? I think that is what do we have? We have one more thing left here. Yes. Betson Enterprises has recently announced the collaboration with Arcade Time Entertainment on the successful launch of the company's newest flagship location on International Drive near Universal. This is on iDrive, and it's a big standalone building. This is a 32,000 square foot family entertainment center, and they say it represents the next evolution of the modern arcade experience, blending nostalgia, innovation, and all-day entertainment under one roof. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, it is it's got duck pin bowling, crazy darts, an arcade, and a full-service restaurant along with 2 bars. It's an FEC, okay? But, it's a big arcade, it's a big FEC, whatever, and that's fine. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting here is that they are open 24 hours a day. So this is going to feature over 300 arcade games. Some of those are retro titles as well as cutting-edge releases. You have Top Gun Maverick, obviously a new one, Godzilla Kaiju Wars VR, which is interesting that they went with the VR version versus the non-VR version, which we've been talking about on Sound Off with Kevin Williams. They got Wizard of Oz by Raw Thrills, Goldstone Pirates. So like all these really big ones. You got the Slush Rush from Baytech, as we had just talked about, and like Smurf's Coin Pusher from Allout, and a bunch of others. So like they've got a good mixture of merchandisers to pushers to games to redemption to VR and etc. So they've got a big mix here, but they are open 24 hours. And here's what I thought was really interesting was their pricing. I was like, okay, open 24 hours. What is kind of the pricing we got going on here? And they have a bunch of different food items as well. So again, full service restaurant as well as 2 bars. But that you can go and you can pay per credits. So you pay, I think it's $20 for 400 credits. And I don't know how long that'll last, but you can you get discounts on the number of credits you get as you buy more. But what was interesting here is that you could also go, and it's online only. So that was an interesting approach. But online only, you can get a 1 hour all you can play pass for $10. But then you can go and get an 8 hour all you can play pass for $20. Like, I don't know, like even when I'm planning to stay there for 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever, like, fuck, I'll just get the $20 thing and do that. But like 8 hours of all you can play. Now, obviously it's not going to include merchandisers or redemption, or at least I would assume it doesn't. You still have to buy credits for those if you want to do that. But look, at the end of the day, 8 hours for $20. Man, I always struggle with this type of model for these types of arcades. It's like an all-you-can-play model. They just tend to not work super well. Like if you want to build a membership model, so you're getting a recurring subscription or whatever, that's fine. And they can come in and play all you can play or whatever during, like 8 hours a month for a recurring subscription or something. But like 8 hours one time, they're going to get their fill of all the arcades you have, and they're not going to come back. So anyway, I do struggle with this, but I'm excited about this opportunity, and I just thought it was worth mentioning it here because the 24-hour thing is really interesting. It makes me wonder if they're going to run their restaurant 24 hours or their bar 24 hours as well. Like, can I go there and get a drink at 8 a.m.? Not that I would do that, but like, look, I've just got get ready to go to Universal and I want to go there and get a drink and play some games before Universal opens or something. I don't know, right? But like, I wonder if they're going to be running that stuff here also 24 hours. So anyway, that is our wrap for News You Should Know. Coming up right after the break, we'll have some Open and Shut with Kevin Williams.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, a big hello to everyone from the latest Open and Shut. I hope I find you well, Brandon.
Oh, yeah, doing great. Ready to roll. Let's see what we got going on this week.
Well, another crowded one. So as I was saying last time, the pace hasn't slowed any. Pause if I go over anything too quickly, but I'll jump straight in. And we have Singapore, an interesting market, of course. A little bit of everything there, and they're now embracing the competitive socializing enjoyment, a 6,000 square facility going in there, a mixture of what you would come to expect from a social entertainment venue, though the information about how much F&B is part of this operation wasn't very clear from the information. But they have the VR, they have social gaming, the darts there, hockey, a bit of everything.
I mean, I'm assuming because it's a cafe and games, there's some sort of F&B, even if it's like just small, like, cafe type stuff. But when I think like 6,000 square feet is really small.
Very.
How much, especially if they have space to eat, because it is a cafe, like really, how many things can they squeeze into that 6,000 feet? Well, that's pretty remarkable, actually.
Well, that's what made me take a double take to check that I wasn't dealing in feet or meters, but also I think those pictures do give the full coverage of the site.
Right.
I question about how big the F&B component is, if it is just a vending machine in a corner, but they've managed to get everything in, and we know especially in Singapore, spaces of a premium.
Yep.
Moving on, and we go to New York, and New York has been collecting quite a large selection of karting systems. I would say that this is more of a mule than just a karting facility, because it has the indoor karts, of course, but it has the retro amusement, it has the mini golf, and it is trying to create a formula that can be replicated. This isn't part of a chain. This is a standalone as far as we can understand from the information available, and they've just thrown their doors open.
Yeah, and so what I find interesting too, and they do actually have a decent number of simulators in their, in their facility, but I do find it interesting that in their Google search, they actually classified themselves as a recreation center. And Google's taxonomy for categories, your business categories, is robust enough that there's better selections in recreation center. So I find it interesting that that's what they ended up going with. And I think it's just like a word of caution in general, that what you put under your Google business profile is important, because that's how people search. And if they search family entertainment or karting and they don't search recreation center, you may not show up if that's what you selected.
Marketing doesn't seem their strong suit. If you go onto their website, it's a little bit of a slog. I would recommend that they take a cold hard look at which category they really fit into, especially if they're going to try and do party room business. One here that I will be visiting in a couple of days' time, Urban Fun, is the second facility here in the UK or London area from the team at Funbox Entertainment. That is the operation that was acquired recently by Sega Amusement International. It is a composite location-based entertainment facility, meaning that it has a bit of everything to fit into the social entertainment mix. It's got the bowling, string bowling systems, it's got the AR darts, it's even got axe throwing in this particular facility, as well as some amusement and a very strong bar component. I'm led to believe that this is a £4 million investment into their second facility, and they're working very hard towards establishing this as a competitive socializing chain.
Yeah, and they've done some good work on their site as well. First of all, they've done, I know you're showing concept images here, but actually on their site already, they have guests playing the actual games in the facility. So you get a feel for what that is. We talk about that all the time. So they've done a good job. And then they've also created that little monkey. It's not a monkey, it's a gorilla. But if you look at the little icon above that, but it's a branded gorilla with like a top hat. And, I guess when I see that, like, that tells me, okay, these guys are very serious about how they're going to be marketing their business, the brand they're creating, and clearly getting ready to do multiple things, multiple locations. I do wonder what the R and the U, what that is for, because they highlight the R and the U in both this one, and they've got them connected. But even when they don't have them connected in this top, the stacked logo, they have the R and the U highlighted in their vertical or the horizontal logo as well. So I'm curious what's going on with that. If it's just an affectation for design and branding, or if it actually has some symbolic components to it.
These guys don't do anything for nothing. I'll make sure when we're at the press event to ask them what this branding motif actually means.
Yeah.
Moving on, and we have, I've touched upon this before, the sports entertainment facility or stadium making use of their available space. In this particular case, the football club in Southampton have allocated a number of units towards creating their own social entertainment space, 8-lane bowling, mini golf, with some amusement and a heavy push on F&B. Not big shakes, but a trend that we've seen repeated a number of times now, where a sports fixture facility, be it an arena or a stadium, is now incorporating an entertainment component to try and increase the dwell time and spend.
And I would say that these things become community centers to some extent. So, communities come around, there's usually some pubs attached to them because they tend to be more local community-based football clubs and stadiums. And so it makes sense that during, off seasons that there's opportunity for people to continue to come together as well, in addition to increasing dwell time during the actual games.
Continued usage, this place will be open when there isn't a match on. One would assume, and also it has a longer opening and closing period. It's utilizing the space that you have and offering something to the community, as you said. One that we've been following, kind of out of interest, the Illinois market has been growing. We've mentioned it a number of times. Thrill House Entertainment. This is an 80,000 square foot, so from 6,000 all the way up to 80,000, kind of tells you the push. It is a mule. It has the karting, it has the bowling, it has the laser tags, it has the darts and the axe throwing, as well as the amusement and the F&B. So it is a dedicated entertainment space. They're just finishing their jobs fair. A facility like this will be eating at least 50 employees to keep it running through different shifts, as well as the different jobs and operations. And the one thing about this space is that while it's pushing the full throttle Thrill House kind of experience based on its karting component, it is also embracing its bowling and its competitive socializing elements.
Well, just like Urban Fun was doing a great job setting up their branding in advance, Thrill House is doing the exact opposite. I've not been able to find any web presence whatsoever besides some news and notifications related to the job fair, obviously, but that's from news. If you're at the point where you're finally hiring people and you're beginning to hire and running job fairs, then you better as hell have that website live.
They have a dark website, which I came across after doing some sleuthing, but I'm not going to point anyone there because it was a mess. And it's clear that maybe one of those jobs they need to fill in their job fair is a marketing director. I'm interested again with Whoop Entertainment. They hadn't appeared on my radar as an Austrian location-based entertainment facility. And they're part of an operation that looks like they're positioning themselves to become a chain. 14-lane bowling with the escape rooms. A lot of the European mule entertainment venues would pivot towards an escape room rather than laser tag, especially in the German market. I'm also noticing that this is active play. We have a trampoline component to this. So they're capturing a wide audience mix, and from the themality of the space, they're not skewing it young and they're not skewing it old. It is looking as a purebred entertainment facility. And by the way they position themselves, I'm also thinking this is the beginning of a rollout of more than one facility. But again, this is 5,000 square meters. So we say about 50-something thousand. So it's no slouch in the size department. It's going into quite a crowded market for entertainment in Austria. But I would also say it's bringing something a little bit newer to the mix.
Yeah, and one of the things they've done here, I'm just going to pull up my screen because this is one of the more unique installations of the pixel floor that I've seen. One, both the size of the pixel floor,
It's a jewel.
but then the way that they've actually created they put it like, looks like 2 or 3 maybe side by side. Obviously, so they can have multiple people playing together. They're not competing necessarily against each other, but then it's just very visually dynamic because they kept they had like acrylic in the separation. So, you know, you can see through, so all the colors still come through. And even in the front, they've done the acrylic here. So you see all the colors from outside on the floor if you're not on it as well. So I just feel like this was one of the better implementations of this type of simple game floor for, you know, in a mixed use, you know, FEC.
Well, funny enough, if we jump back a couple of the openings I was mentioning, they also had their own pixel floor, which is captured in the picture. This particular one is 2 units side by side, as you say, unusually with the screening, as it were. Most of the time, I just see them open deck. I would say that the interactive entertainment floor is one of the biggest trends for sales that we've seen in the sector for 2025. But again, we will be looking at that market quite closely following IAAPA, because there's some developments that will be popping up there regarding this sector. Moving on, and again, another trampoline entertainment facility. If you look at the list of news sites on this rundown this week, you'll see Texas pop up more than 3 times, which is telling us a lot. 60,000 square facility, heavily on the active play. So it is aiming for the active entertainment children's play mix. But I think something has happened in the decision process, and they have rolled in our friends at Fun Sport Entertainment to actually drop in the amusement machine. So these are amusement added, not just as an afterthought, but given its own entertainment space. This is the second in the chain. I know that they've got a third one in the mix. And yet again, the trampoline boys are now beginning to understand that they need to broaden their entertainment offering.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not the one that is going to open in Houston. That site is still not up, but this is the same brand and same location,
which
but
we've talked about before.
In Pleasantville. Yeah, exactly. So it gives you a sense for what the experience is. And like you said, you know, multiple forms of active play here, especially with that zip line going over the foam and then the balls. I mean, they've really got a big mixture of attractions for active play.
But this older site kind of mirrors the more active play than amusement component, where this new Texas facility will be incorporating its own dedicated amusement siting. Our friends at Activate, active entertainment seems to be the trend that we're touching upon today. And again, another London site. You know, they are pushing, their franchisee is pushing very heavily. I will also be going to the final shake-up event for this particular site. Oxford Street is a major retail thoroughfare in the centre of London. And at one end is facilities like Boom Battle Bar. And at the other end, there are what I would call themed golf entertainment social environments like Swingers. So, you know, it is fitting in with trying to appeal to the office workers that are in the catchment, as well as the retailers, the shoppers that are also falling into this mix. How many of those individuals will want to rush into a mission room activity experience? We will see from how well this site does.
Yeah, and you know, I think the only chance that they have of real significant success is being able to play off of the foot traffic that's already going to some of these other social entertainment venues. And I do question the small number of mission rooms that they have in this location at 12. And Activate doesn't have a lot in their portfolio compared to other mission room brands, but we'll see.
We'll see. I'm wondering if this is a pivot of the original 20 or 30 mission room unit configuration for a much more smaller configuration to fit available retail space, or if they have cut their cloth to suit their audience. Again, we will interrogate the team in between libations. Our friends at Little Lions had already established. I think you went to their Chaos Karts facility when you were last out. And one of the things that was interesting, I suddenly saw them mentioning that they had installed their Pac-Man live experience in Riyadh. I had made the stupid assumption that they were going to be parachuting it into their already existing space, their VR arcade, but I'm led to believe that this is actually in a purpose-built space for the Riyadh season, the period that takes place in September and October for the residents. Anyway, I'm hearing a lot of mixed reports about Pac-Man live experience. I hear people gushing about it and saying it's a really great experience. I have other people coming to me and asking, what is it in this experience that is so makes it so popular? I haven't done it myself. I've watched, but I'm going to actually make a point with the new London facility that will be opening up soon to put the game through its paces. I am very interested to see how our friends at Little Lions are doing. As we reported on previously, they just tied up a deal for the Crystal Maze experience to be rolled out in the Middle East market through a licensee, and it sounds like they're utilizing that new investment to push their brand.
Yeah, and I find it interesting. I mean, I was on the Pac-Man live experience for Saudi, and and I went to go click in the book now, and it took me to the Chaos Carts site to book at the Chaos Carts location, and only Chaos Carts. Pac-Man wasn't even available for me to book, so maybe it's just not open yet. Maybe they haven't gone live, but I still thought it was weird that it took me entirely to a new site, the Chaos Carts site. Now, look, I mean, you know me, I've gone on the record. I think Chaos Carts was a phenomenal experience. I really enjoyed my time there. And so, Little Lions has, knows how to do some of these things, but I do wonder how much that this experience is really going to be driving repeat visitation. It might be one of those that was like really cool to do once and maybe not again, but I am looking forward to trying it, certainly.
And finally, in the new openings, Turkey. Everybody wants a little turkey at this time of the year. And, this is a 3-facility chain. It is offering your 60,000 square foot, 6,000 square meter kind of facility. It's active play, it is amusement. I would say it's on the cusp of a mule. It is either you try the trampolines or you try the amusement with a little bit of F&B, but it is that progression in this emerging market where a brand like this can get momentum and start pushing heavily to add more and more attractions. With companies like Doff Robotics in their backyard, it's no great shakes to think about a facility such as this, thinking about adding more and more complexity to their entertainment offering. At the moment, I am interested to see how well this brand does within their core market, and if it's something that could grow outside of that territory into other countries.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a venue that is targeted for 14 and under. I mean, it is obviously, for families, etc. But they're even all of the pictures on their site are of kids playing, and everybody is probably actually closer to 12 and under, even than 14. Yeah. But I thought one of the things I'm just going to throw up here that was well done, and I feel like it's maybe a little over the top, but they created an entire theme park feel of a map that you can then go around and see what's going on here. And it does seem like it's a 60,000 square foot space, so not small, but or I should say 6,000 square meters, roughly 60,000 square feet. And there's a lot of stuff here going on, but I think somebody maybe just had some fun and wanted to do a more visual layout. But there's a lot going on here.
If that map was tied to real pictures, if that map was less busy, I would agree that it would work. But you have to be mindful that your website is going to be viewed both on mobile as well as laptop. Mm-hmm. More likely it's going to be viewed originally on mobile. And to put all of that effort into something that can't really be used in the mobile side of the application, you couldn't squint your way through that on a mobile. I would argue that they are aiming young, but they are beginning to broaden their entertainment appeal, which again in this emerging market is a good idea. The shuts, the redevelopments, and the layoffs, and something that we touched upon many sound offs ago. We were talking about where Electric Playhouse would fit in the Las Vegas market, especially with things like Party Playground, with some of the other new immersive entertainment venues, as well as the pressure from Area 15 in that market. Was their entertainment offering striking enough to survive in a very competitive sector? Well, according to the information that's come through from our friends in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas facility of Electric Playhouse has fallen into bankruptcy. There's some estimates of how much they're in debt to and what the company owes. I'm not going to go into the detail of that because the information was based only on one particular source. The only source that I have confirms that it was in trouble, as in lack of attendance. Again, there has been a lot of questions about the one and done nature of the facility, and it is a chain of two sites. So their Las Vegas facility was their second stab at this model. And I think this was where they overextended themselves and worked out the reality of the brand. That said, it is Vegas, very cruel master. If you're going to try and set up anything in that market, a lot of brands go to Vegas to die. What I'm interested about here is, will someone step in and take it over, or more likely, will that valuable real estate be utilized by another company, maybe another entertainment offering?
We see this happen, unfortunately, too often, and a lot of this, I feel like, has to, comes from where the actual attraction or venue is located inside of one of the other casinos and resorts. So one of the big issues with Playground, for example, and the Luxor is that it's upstairs. There's no signage, really hard to go and find, and there's struggle as a result. And so if you're not visible on the Strip, accessible from the Strip, even if you are connected to one of the resorts, it is going to be an uphill battle to get the type of foot traffic that you need.
One of the nice things about doing it within a casino is it forces you to understand what your offering is, so you can stand out from the crowd. So it is a hard baptism of fire, but if you're willing to learn from that, then you can grow your brand and then expand out of the Vegas market. I would argue that Electric Playhouse didn't quite know what they had or are. Again, understand we're only talking about the Las Vegas facility and not their original facility. So again, we need to sort of have a cool down period. Maybe by the time of March, we'll have a much better handle if someone came in as a white knight and saved them from their debt problem, or if another operation utilizes that space. But hey, it's a tough market. And that tough market kind of reflects itself on how you position yourself. We have a chameleon brand here. Our friends at VR Core were one of the early VR arcade operators. Very, very strong operation. They really did nail down what it was to attract their audience to the VR experience that they were offering back in the 2018, 2019 period. And then, surprise, surprise, the operation went through a little bit of rebranding and went from the VRcade to the VR Core, which is what we know the operation now under. They have an education as well as a pop-up, as well as a traveling VR components to their site or their business, as it were. And now that VR arcade business, the facility side of the business, has totally pivoted. They still have kept their VR arcade component, but upgraded it to the latest arena systems. But they've now shipped in a lot more amusement and social entertainment machines to create their Nightwave arcade facility. So again, this is a perfect example over a 7 or 8 year period of how a brand has cut its cloth and rediscovered itself to suit the audience and to stay relevant, especially within a very tight-knit audience catchment.
Yeah, they've done a really great job making the brand transition here. This is their site. They've leaned hard into the synthwave, music feel, like the retro feel, right? Stranger Things, etc. That we're all kind of crazed about right now collectively. And I think adding pinball is a nice touch to beyond just so you've got the virtual reality, but then you got the real physicality of pinball too as an addition. And obviously just to drive that per cap alongside their arcade. But leaning into that 80s, you've got although it does say HD here, which is funny, but you've got like the VHS cassettes and the old TVs and stuff here to just talk about their different
it's a heavy brand
rooms.
It's a heavy brand pivot to the zeitgeist at the moment, as we touched upon in previous sound off about how the classic retro arcade is very relevant and very popular to hang on to. Again, I would argue that only has a limited shelf life of maybe 2 or 3 years before they're going to have to pivot again. And it's where they pivot next, if that VR is still included in the lineup of offerings when they next pivot, because I get the feeling that these guys know how to ride a wave or two. But from a positioning point of view, this is the kind of the positive story that I prefer talking about regarding a facility that takes enough time to stand back, look if it's tired, look at its audience that it's trying to attract, and then repivot, reposition, and continue. No one has given you a guarantee to exist in this sector as a successful company. It's up to you to keep it fresh. And I come across too often brands that are just very indignant. Once they've designed themselves, they think that's going to stay the same for the next 5, 10 years even. I would point to Dave & Buster's as one of those brands that has sort of taken its own sweet time to work out that it needed to update its offering. Splash Zone, I don't normally get too much involved in the water park side of the business, as you know, though if they do include an amusement and attractions, they do pique my interest. Anyway, Jersey Shores, New Jersey, surprise announcement that they're shuttering after 26 years. Again, it's one of those shutterings where we don't have a lot of information on what the decision process was in this move. And we don't have a lot of information if a white knight is going to come in and take them over as a going concern, or whether the real estate barons are going to gobble up this fantastic real estate for houses. And then finally, we have some layoffs, and it was inevitable regarding the situation that we're seeing in the Orlando sector, as well as across Disney in general, that there was going to be some restructuring in jobs. We had rumors a couple of months ago that we were going to see cast members from the Disneyland operation move on. And be laid off. That was poo-pooed at the time. I think that was a political reason why they were trying to cover up what was going to be an inevitability. We are facing, in Orlando, we have the situation with staff changes with the Disney World operation. In California now, we're seeing this 100 layoff at the Disneyland resorts. We've seen also Universal and Six Flags going through restructuring of staff. This seems to be an inevitability under the current financial conditions, but also is an example of how some of these theme parks cut fat when times get hard, and cast members are usually the first to feel the brunt of that.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is something we'll cover or dig into a little bit further on the upcoming sound. I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I'm assuming this is one of the something we're going to cover on the upcoming sound off. But the magnificent, in the tech sector, outside of the attraction sector, even the Magnificent Seven have announced massive layoffs this last week as well. And so I think we're in this phase right now in the economy in general where we're seeing belt tightening, transitions, etc., and it's now having an impact on the actual staff volumes.
Yeah, and staffing will never go back to how it was previously. This is a situation where once these jobs have gone, I doubt if we will see them coming back in the same way. And that's something that we we may touch upon in the next sound off, or we may wait to actually report on another of the major theme park corporations that is about to make an announcement in the next couple of days. But hey, let's not use our crystal ball up too much, this particular open and shut. Anyway, hopefully I've gone through at some speed there. Please use the rewind button to go back to any of the ones I've missed. If you have any information or any news that you'd like to pass on, the LinkedIn details are there, as well as my email. And please make sure that you're receiving your Stinger and Entertainment Social Arenas. Hopefully I've covered everything, Brandon, there.
Oh, another great one.
Well, wishing everybody have a good one.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Alan One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Alan One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-one.com to learn more. That's allen-one.com.
All right. Well, that was a great open and shut. Thank you, Kevin Williams, for delivering that for us and bringing everything together. And you know what? Look, this is episode 51. So episode 51 of the LBX Show. Remember, we did a whole year in season 1 of an LBX daily show. So Monday through Friday, Christine Beer and I got on, did like a 20-minute episode every single day, which was crazy. And then we shifted to the LBX Show, and this is number 51. And so we are now officially moving into season 4 of the LBX Show. Looking forward to some great stuff coming up the rest of this year and then into next year. And don't forget, we've got Sound Off number 97 with Kevin Williams on Tuesday, November 4th. We've got a big 100th episode planned for the week right after IAAPA Expo. And that is a wrap for this week's LBX Show. This is Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking out.